Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Friday. Don't forget, I will be out next week. It is spring break for the kiddos, and we are going to be partying it up with the kids at a theme park. I'll leave it at that because I don't want anyone stalking me, you know. Welcome to the show. We have Matthew Marsden, BlazeTV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire, along with Eric July, of course, BlazeTV contributor and founder of Rippaverse Comics, which you guys all need to go check out. What's the latest with that, Eric?
Man, it's so much has happened with that. I mean, we're off to a crazy good year. Already made like $1 million this year.
All right, already. Me too.
In sales.
Me too. Golly, just like that. Month of February.
No, but seriously, it's a testament to all of the lovely audience out there. You guys have been crazy supportive of this, and it's been a fun venture, especially with that creator-owned wing and us like. I guess I could talk about it now, the Angel Studios collaboration that we have with Gabriel and the Guardians. I'm really excited to be publishing that. So it's just a lot going on. And again, I'm just really, really blessed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, since you guys have money to throw around, go check out AmericanBeautyBySarah.com.
And he should sponsor the show, I think.
At this point, why not?
So
I'll read my own ad read. How about
and you know what? By the way, guys, if you get Eric to another $1 million, he will shave. He will shave everything.
It's down lower now.
He's like, hold on, I didn't agree to this. But I'm just saying, if you have a lovely lady in your life, or if you are a lovely lady, go check out AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Okay, so I cannot believe the timeline that we're living in. I have never seen anything like what I saw today with President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance hosting Volodymyr Zelenskyy from Ukraine. They had him come because they were talking about doing this mineral deal, right? Because President Trump said, you're not getting free handouts anymore. We're no longer giving handouts. But what we can do is make this transactional. And so we can pay you for, this. They set up this whole mineral deal. We can pay you for something, but we're not going to pay you for nothing, okay? And so Zelenskyy came to the White House to discuss and try to solidify this deal. And I want to play it for you before we get into this incredible takedown of Volodymyr Zelenskyy. I want to play, I think Donald Trump set the stage when he met Zelenskyy outside in the front of the White House. He really set the tone for how this meeting was going to go. Here is that moment.
You're all dressed up. Yes, I had pretty close.
You're all dressed up, he says.
He's all dressed up today.
He's all dressed up. And of course, those of you who are listening on audio podcasts, I don't have to tell you what Zelenskyy was wearing. You already know, because it's the same thing that he wears every other time. Just a black long sleeve shirt, black pants, black boots, work boots. And so President Trump is like, oh, he's all dressed up. Nice of you to dress up to see the president of the United States. We've only paid you billions of dollars. Thanks for dressing up for us. Okay. So as they were discussing this deal, Zelenskyy, in his very Zelensky fashion, decided to try to tell the United States what they should be doing. And he has a great habit of doing this. And you know what? Who could blame him? Because he was working with, for 4 years, an administration that rolled over and decided that he would dictate to them exactly what we would be doing and what we would be financially responsible for. It's just that it doesn't work like that anymore in this White House. And so here is the moment that got a little heated in the White House. Watch.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems? bringing people into your military?
We have
And do you think that it's
I will
respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval Office
I
of
will
the United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel
I'm-
very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in
So
a very good
disrespectful.
position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards. But
cards.
right now, you don't.
I'm very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. Brown.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War
about-
III.
Who does he
And
think
what
he's
you're
talking
doing
to?
is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
It's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
You said
A lot
thank
of
you
times.
once.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
you said thank
Even
you.
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for
What-
the United States
what
of
are you thinking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I can't believe that they just did that in front of the cameras. Like they just
Wait, what? Sorry,
they tag teamed him in front of the cameras so that all of America could see we're done with this. This really is America first. This is an America first administration. You want to see? Here's proof.
But what was happening before, which we didn't see in that, and I really recommend everyone goes and watches that last 15 minutes because it is one of the most incredible things you'll ever see in your life.
Never seen anything like
But
this.
he was talking over the president. He was talking over Vance. He was being his usual belligerent self. And Vance was just like, because it's important to know that didn't come from nowhere with Vance. He was like, do you know what? Enough.
Yeah.
Like, you don't walk in here and push us around because we're not sycophants like the Europeans are. And they are. They all kiss his ass in Europe. And you're not the cadaver in chief anymore, right? It's not talking to Biden.
Sure.
And Vance just stepped in, like, just dismantled him. And then the big dog, like, decided, like, hang on a second. No,
You're not
no
gonna
more.
talk to us like that.
I was watching that, like, I was a little bit delayed. I did my live stream on Matthew Marsden on YouTube, just saying.
Go
And I was-
subscribe.
go subscribe. And I was watching it, and I was like, they've got to stop this. Like, this guy's got, and then Vance just goes and he goes, boom! He did it, him, dude. It is him. Slapped him down.
Yeah.
And this is what we want. Like, nobody comes in and dictates to the United States of America anything. It's over. The truth of the matter is, Sarah, 6 months ago, they ran out of bodies, right? And my buddy was telling me, he's an SF guy, he was like, they have only a very small amount of troops. If Vladimir Putin doesn't want to go in, he's taking the country over. It's just the way it is. That's the reality of it. And America is not being taken advantage of anymore, and I'm here for it.
No, I totally agree. And I want to get your thoughts, Eric. I'm not sure how much of this you saw today as well. I need to go back and watch it in its entirety because I watched a good portion of it, but I missed some of it. So I want to go back and watch it. I want to play one more clip here, but I want to remind you guys before we play that, make sure that you are subscribed to Matthew Marsden's YouTube, okay? Eric July's YouTube, Young Rippa 59. He's waiting for his. Can you?
Waiting for it. And
He's waiting.
Did,
Okay, go.
I did the whole thing, and you.
But also, Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, which you're watching right now. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Gently tap the like button because we all like a gentle tapping from time to time. And comment. Make sure that you help us out in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. So I want to play one more clip here of President Trump just manhandling this whiny little baby, this spoiled little toddler who wants to come here and demand that we give him more free shit. Here is President Trump taking him to task. Watch.
Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful.
Oh, you've been alone?
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment.
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited me
if you
to
didn't
stop.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
This was, by the way, God,
He's
inject this into my veins. This was like, I was like, golly, this is, whew, for all of these political junkies, I'm like, it's getting hot in here. I feel like this is somehow a turn on. And not because I'm physically attracted to anyone in the room. It's just like, this is leadership. This is what real American leadership looks like. And we've been missing it for so long. And so this was not an act. I just want to be clear. This was not for the cameras, because the reporters that were there said that shortly after this that it appeared that President Trump kicked Zelensky out of the White House because he departed shortly after that. And then President Trump went on to Truth Social and posted, "We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion, and I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace." I mean, I again, Eric, I'd love to get your thoughts as well. I have never seen anything like this. I'm not a historian, so you guys tell me in the comments if there's actually in 1901. But I personally, in my adult life, have never seen anything like what I just saw today. I mean, masterful, just masterful in projecting strength for this country.
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with frustration, because you could see that there was a lot brewing there, because JD Vance, and it seemed like Trump was perfectly fine with Vance really handling the bulk of that exchange, right? And so obviously JD Vance was like, look, we have to say something, because this is getting to a level. This arrogance is really what he's espousing is out of control. So we got to bring him down. And Trump clearly was perfectly fine with it. It wasn't until he went on about what was going to happen to us when Trump, if you watch it, I watched this before the show. If you look at his entire demeanor changed.
Yep.
Because he was like, wait a minute, you're not going to tell us what's going to happen to us. That's not how any of this works. And then he started to get pissed off. You can say he's talking himself through it. Wait a minute, we've done all of these different things for this man. The last administration did all these interesting things, and it put him in this spot to where it has you thinking that you can just come up in our house and you can just treat that like your own house. You wouldn't have anybody just talking to you any kind of way, making any sort of demands, not even your parents, in your own house. And so he felt, obviously, rightfully so, justifiably so, disrespected, right? And look, that's what Zelensky's been able to get away with. He's been able to get away with just really making demands. And a lot of that demand comes from this fear of it's more of a what if. It's not a if that's actually going to happen. It's more of, well, if we lose to Russia, then you're going to lose to Russia.
Right.
And
you'll be next.
Right. That's been his whole deal. Yeah. And I love what Trump says there when he's like, no, you don't know that that's going to happen to us at all. And I think if that conversation was had much early on, we're not in this whole rigmarole. This is outstanding, the amount of money that has been funneled to him, not just obviously by America, though America has really shouldered the bulk of that load, the other countries as well. And he's been going on these tours basically saying, we need money, because if it's us now, it's going to be you next. And clearly with this administration, they're trying, at least with that conflict. Can't speak to the others because I know there's going to be someone in the comments going on about, well, this amount of foreign aid went out here and here. I'm not talking about that. At least with this conflict that's happening between Russia and Ukraine, it does appear that these guys are over it.
Yeah. I mean, because of the vast amount of money that we have just for 4 years, it was just a blank check. Just here you go. Here you go. Here you go. You remember Joe Biden, who got on, television cameras and was asked, when are you going to stop? Like, when does this cut off? And he said, we will fund it as long as it takes. We will fund it as long as it takes for Ukraine to win. I mean, that was it. There was no end date. There was no timeline. The United States was in the habit of persuading Zelensky to not negotiate a deal for peace. If you guys recall, they nearly had a deal several times. It was the United States who talked them out of that. And so you have this man that for 4 years was just given whatever the hell he wants by the administration, the prior administration. And there's a new sheriff in town, it turns out. And this sheriff ain't not playing around. Because, do you know why? Because he takes very seriously, it is our money. It is ours. It is not the White House's. It is not the Oval Office. It is not the Trump administration's money. It is our money. And you can tell by his demeanor, to Eric's point, you can tell by his demeanor and the way that you can see him get viscerally upset because he's like, who do you think you are? Right. These are my people and I made them promises and I intend to keep my promises. And it is, I will also say one more thing, and Matt, I'll give you last word on this. It is very refreshing to see the level of trust, to Eric's point, that President Trump does have in J.D. Vance to come in here.
You don't see that a lot.
No.
You do not see that a lot.
No.
I mean, you look at any previous administration, that you do not, they're in the same room.
Could you see Mike Pence doing that?
No, that's a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
For sure.
So to see him have that level of trust in Vice President Vance to sit there and take Zelensky to task is just, it says a lot about the partnership of this team.
Well, firstly, you can see that clearly Trump was offended by the way that Zelensky was talking over Vance. So he's like, you know what? But
he talked over the president.
He talked over him. But here's the thing. Trump was, and people go on about Trump and this and that. But if you watch the whole thing, he's very controlled. He's like, I'm going to make peace. He says it over and over again. And it's only when it got to that point where he's like, you know what? I have to step in. Yeah. This is, for any people who maybe own a business or don't own a business, this is business 101. This is great leadership. He trusts his right-hand man. He's finally got someone who has his back. Trump responds. I do want to say this, Sarah. People went on and on and on for years about how America has been diminished under Trump, right? They've said, oh, Trump's, on the world stage, America's not respect.
Laughable.
It's the other way around. Like, clearly they think that they can walk in to a weak administration under Biden and demand. And by the way, there was a great moment that we didn't get. Maybe, I don't know if the guys can pull it up, but there's a guy a reporter goes, why aren't you wearing a suit? It is amazing.
They asked him that?
Yeah, they said, what? And his response is basically, I'm not wearing a costume. I'm like, actually, yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, you are.
What you're wearing right now is already the
friggin'
costume.
suit on when you're coming to meet the president of the United States. It's just
what an asshole. Look, I'm not wearing a costume. It's not a costume. It's showing respect.
By the way, we say the same thing about Fetterman when you are going into the Senate. Wear a darn suit.
Yep.
Like, it's not like we're picking on one guy in particular. And by the way, I just want one more thing. Yeah. Trump says, and I've said this over and over again, he goes, by the way, Vladimir Putin was accused over and over again by the previous administration of Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation. And it was a lie. Mm-hmm. It was all a lie. So you think about how restrained Vladimir Putin's been. And I'm not like, don't come at me with like, you're a Putin apologist. Yeah. This is just the way it is.
Sure.
If someone said to us, the United States of America have been doing disinformation, blah, blah, we would respond and go, no, we haven't. Mm-hmm. He hasn't. Mm-hmm. And Trump makes that clear. And he's like, look, I want to bring you to, I'm not on either side. I'm not on either side. He wants to make peace. I remember when liberals wanted peace. What's wrong with this?
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of liberals, Adam Schiff here had some interesting things to say where he says a hero and a coward are meeting at the Oval Office. And when that meeting is over, the hero will return home to Ukraine. Senator Adam Schiff, shout out, jackass.
Wow.
Trump mentions him, by the way. Trump mentions Adam Schiff in that earlier exchange.
That's a crazy thing to say.
I mean, these people are so anti-American and their constituents vote them in. It's such a disgrace.
You see what's the last press secretary,
KJP?
Yeah, she had some interesting things to say. I was watching that right before the show as well. So the left isn't taking that well. They're not taking that exchange well at all, but who's surprised?
Yeah, not me. Which, I mean, they have no problem pissing your money away, sending it to all sorts of other places other than this country because they are America last. Just to put a little bow on this. This is from usnews.com. Global aid to Ukraine since 2022, when the war started, has reached $430 billion.
Almost $500 billion.
And he's lost 100 billion of that.
$430 billion. Not all coming, this is globally, not all coming from America, but that is how much the rest of the world has contributed for that man to sit there in front of the greatest contributors or the leaders of the greatest contributors and say, we're fighting this war alone. Screw you. Screw you. Go home and you'll find out real quick what it actually is like to fight this war alone. Because we're done. Or at least that's what I would say if I was the president. But I can't be the president.
No, he pretty much did.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Pretty much did.
But I wouldn't be the president because I am a woman. I don't think that I am right for that role. Mostly because how emotional I just got at that. All right. We want to take a quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So Patriot Mobile is there leading the charge, really. In fact, I think we'll be seeing Patriot Mobile tonight.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
At the Tarrant County event that we're going to, because Patriot Mobile is really putting their money where their mouths are when it comes to contributing to conservative causes. And so it's really this simple, okay? If you're still with Big Mobile, you're funding the left. They're taking a portion of that bill that you're paying every month and they're funding causes that you don't believe in. On the flip side, go to patriotmobile.com. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they are going to do the opposite. They're going to use a portion of that, and they are going to fund the causes that you are fighting for. They have been instrumental on the sidelines with, all of these school boards, flipping the school boards conservative, getting the books, the dirty books out of school libraries. They've been instrumental in helping Yakubuyans fight sex trafficking at the border. They really are putting their money where their mouths are. So go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. And then when you use offer code Sarah, you're going to get a free month of service. Okay. But go check them out because I'm telling you, you're probably going to save money when you do it anyway. So there's really no reason not to. Same nationwide coverage. Okay. But you're supporting a cause that supports you. patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Use offer code Sarah. So really, really big news today, aside from what we just went over. President Trump plans to make English the official language of the United States. Now, I do want to play, I think this was last week. When was CPAC? Last weekend? President Trump had been talking about, this is not good to have all of these either illegal or legal, let's say, any migrant, anyone who comes into our country who don't speak our language, just being dropped into our communities here. Watch.
We have languages coming into our country. We don't have one instructor in our entire nation that can speak that language. These are languages. It's the craziest thing. They have languages that nobody in this country has ever heard of. It's a very horrible thing.
So today, with this executive order making English the official language of the United States of America, it will rescind a mandate created by Bill Clinton back in 2000, which required federal agencies and recipients of federal funding to provide language assistance to non-English speakers. Now, just for reference, because I know that there are a lot of leftists who don't have a lot going on up here, who are going to accuse him of being racist or xenophobic or, whatever the case may be. There are like 178 out of the 195 widely recognized sovereign countries that have at least one official language designated by their law or by their constitution, including China, India, Italy, and Spain. And we are only one of 15 countries that do not. So I don't want to hear it. This is a very normal, common sense thing. Number one, I don't want my money going to fund, government documents of all different types of languages because that's dumb. Number two, we are positioning ourselves to put people on notice when they come into this country, which I expect to be the legal way, okay? But when you come into this country, we're not here to cater to you. You should come here to assimilate. And the only way that you assimilate is by learning our language, which is English. And if you're not interested in learning English, then you must not be interested in assimilating, and we don't want you here. Period. Now, can they make people learn it? No, but that's of course the position that you put people in when you make an official language. I mean, I can't even. I went to the Dominican Republic. Mexico caters to us, so I'll leave that out. Most of Mexico caters to us because they're a tourist country. We went to the Dominican to get married. Stephen, do you remember this? They didn't speak like a lick of English, and I respect them for that. They're like, we're here. This is what we speak. And you can communicate with us. And so I was able to communicate with them in like the little Spanish that I know. But this is like so reasonable. And it will be funny to watch the left take this and try to react as if this is hateful or, unwelcoming, when it's really just like, we need order in this country. And this is one of many ways that you get order and assimilation. We all need to be able to communicate with one another. That's actually very important in this country. And so now you have President Trump taking the lead yet again in making English the official language.
No, I think I actually look at it just only slightly differently, that it's less about even that mandate. It's more of like, we're not going to waste all these resources. Yeah. Right.
That's what I'm saying. We're paying for them to print all of these documents in all of these other languages.
Obviously, bring these people in. It's like, look, if you're a private business and you want to do whatever you do, the law doesn't say you can't speak Spanish or you can't be bilingual or you can't speak whatever other language. That's not what it is. It's more of that the government is not going to sit up here throwing all these resources to try to accommodate all of these other languages, because they're going to have just kind of one singular, more official one. And obviously, it's the language that most of us speak, right? Like, so it's like funny talking about it because it's like, oh, no shit. But when you do break it down, fundamentally, though, it makes all the sense in the world, especially if we're very serious about, getting this spending under control, right? And I don't think that's just a good use of money and resources to sit up here and try to accommodate everybody that's trying to come to the country. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Well, I agree with that, of course, because I'm done with people spending our money on people that don't live here or are not from here. But I'd like to make a more, I think, which is a more significant point, is that it's a culture. No, I'm just saying, because money's money, right? I understand that money's money, but what is more important, because I saw it happen to the UK, the moment they started putting up signs in different languages was the moment that the country started balkanizing. Big time. Like, you started having your kind of like cliques of people, and they start building their own little ghettos wherever they are, and they build up, and it becomes, you don't want to go into that area. Listen, it's happened in Michigan. Let's be fair about it. It just has. And so what you do is that ends up fracturing the country, and it's not uniting. And I think that is way more costly eventually in money anyway. Because what you need to do is you got to say, we've got to be united in a common language, which then brings people more together on the whole and assimilates more culturally. Because if you're just letting people come over and you say, okay, well, you can have your own religion, and you can have your own language, and by the way, when you walk into a store, you guys can talk to each other in a language that person over there doesn't understand.
Right.
And so, it becomes this way, because a lot of them do learn English, but they don't want to speak it, right? Sure. So they'll speak their own language. I think it's very, very, very important for the coherence of the country. By the way, can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
They should ban giving the option on a phone.
That's what I was literally about to say. When I pick up the phone and I call somewhere in this country, I shouldn't have to press 1 to speak my own damn language. That's dumb. I should not have to press, just give me the options in English and let the Spanish speaking people figure it out. I live in America. I shouldn't have to do that. By the way, to your point, Matt, I said I'm too emotional.
No, I'd love Sarah as president. Can you imagine her press conferences? I don't want to do it, okay? I don't want to do it, and don't criticize my shoes. I know they don't go in my shirt. It was just a thing this morning. Yeah, it'd be amazing. It'd be like really entertaining.
I was going to say, to your point, I go to some of the ladies at my nail salon watch this. So hello. But I do, when I'm sitting there and they start speaking to each other in Vietnamese, and I'm like, they're talking about me. They probably are not, but I just think that they are, and I get very self-conscious. I don't want them talking about me.
I'm married to a Maltese. If you want to talk about a language that hardly nobody speaks in the world, it's Maltese. Yeah. So when I go there, and I know that,
I didn't even know that was a language.
No, it is a language, but I know I said to them, like, every now and then I'll say Nif Meknatro, which means I understand you a little bit, and they go, and I'm like, I don't really, but it shut you up, didn't it?
Yeah, you're like, now I want to know what you're talking about me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, all right. When we come back, I want to talk about the latest with the debacle of the Epstein file, drop yesterday. So we'll get into the latest on that when we return. So I have been asked and dragged into several different social media conversations. I want to make one thing completely clear on what happened yesterday with a certain set of content creators getting invited to the White House and all leaving with a Jeffrey Epstein binder or an Epstein, Phase 1 binder. A lot of those people are my friends. And what I know that you didn't was that they were asked to come weeks ago. And it had nothing to do with anything Epstein related. They were asked to come for a completely different meeting. They were all handed these binders and then sent out where there were cameras from the mainstream media snapping pictures of them. I don't want to say it was a setup because I don't believe that President Trump or JD Vance or Caroline Leavitt had an intention of setting them up. But it was through no fault of their own that they were invited to the White House, coming on a particular day, handed a file folder, and then sent out where they were having their pictures taken. And they were more of just like, they were just handed this, they hadn't gone through it, and the mainstream media is taking pictures of them. And so you can imagine how you would feel if you just left the White House meeting the president of the United States and the vice president. You were just sitting in on a cabinet meeting. You just had the time of your life, and they handed you a folder. And you walk out, and poor CNN's on the sidelines watching you leave the White House. You better believe you're going to give a little smile and a little wave to the legacy media, who is completely irrelevant. Okay? And so I think that a lot of people are blowing this out of proportion, because I just want to make one thing clear. If I had been invited, I saw the emails, guys. Okay? If I had been invited to go to the White House, the way in which they were invited to go to the White House, you bet your ass I would have gone to the White House. I hope that that's me someday. So people who think that they know everything, they think they know exactly how this went down, you guys don't know what you're talking about. It was not ill-intentioned. It was not a bunch of content creators being provided documents that were not going to be provided to the American people. And certainly the content creators were not the ones who were behind some big secrecy plan so that they could get the information and gatekeep it for you. That's not actually what happened. So stop talking shit about my friend Chad Prather, I have to say. So on that note, now that did you have anything on that?
Yeah, no, I did actually. I do, because it's very, very frustrating to me, because we are day 38.
Yeah.
Day 39.
You're finding dumb things to fight about.
And
Stop.
No, that's exactly right. I'm like, if you'd have said back before we won the election, which we didn't know we were going to win, that Kash Patel would have been in there, and Pam Bondi would have been in there, and RFK would have been in there, and Tulsi would have been in there, and JD Vance would have been in there doing what he did today, and Trump would have been doing this, and then Elon would have been doing that, you would have lost your mind and said, that is just absolutely not possible in my wildest dreams. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, and I said this today on my YouTube channel that you should go and subscribe to, is that you got to remember this, guys. We're normal people. Mm-hmm. These guys are normal people. A lot of them came out and stood up when they had everything to lose, and they got a lot of followers for it. That's one thing. They are the alternate media, right? That's who they are right now. So when you walk into that room and you have, like all of us, like you guys, have watched JD Vance and watched Trump from the sidelines, and you've gone out there and you've spent all your capital, you've been called all these kind of names and been disinvited from family parties and this and that, and then you finally go in there and Trump is there. Oh no, because I've been there, right? I know.
All right. I know. All my friends have met President Trump and I haven't. I got it.
It is an out-of-body experience to be there.
Wait, actually, I did meet him. I shook his hand. I asked him a question and shook his hand. I just want to take the picture with him. I asked him a question about January 6 prisoners and I shook his hand, but it just doesn't feel the same. I need to be next to him.
Well, I was only there with him for an hour.
Oh my God.
But anyway,
I hate you so much.
But here's the thing, and
Eric's over here we just made $1 million and it's February. That's I only spent an hour with the president. I'm going to Universal with my kids all week next week.
You told him now you're going to get stalked. Oh, no, but here's the point is this. Look, you are not a normal human being if you aren't in a historic moment. Yeah. And recognize it and go, this is an out-of-body experience, right? This is weird. So like you said, it wasn't just Trump. They had Vance, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and these guys are sitting there and they're taking this all in. And there's no reason to think that they're not being honest because they had everything to lose before.
Yes.
This is then they're called the grifters. I hate this thing where they're called grifters because somehow they think that it's okay for Rachel Maddow to make $25 million a year doing one show a week. And then there's some people that sell merch to provide for their kids and they're on your side. We got to get over this. And then you're right. They get given that binder. They come out and they're basically saying, I'm sorry, it's going to get a beep. You look, we're here now, right? And I see our side go, turn on them and rip them apart and sell these things about them. And I'm like, guys, you got to stop. We all want to hear the Epstein. There's nobody who wants to hear about Epstein more than me, right? Considering where I came from, right? Yeah. Hollywood. There's nobody who wants it. But guys, they're on the team. They're our friends. And we're not just saying it because of our friends, because there are other people that are not our friends anymore because we didn't like what they were doing. But there's no reason for us to believe when you've got Chad and you go, I don't know DC Drano, but he comes out and he talks. I'm like,
I do.
That's completely reasonable.
Yes.
Then Viva Frey comes out and says the same thing. And I'm like, that's completely reasonable. Slow down.
Yes. And by the way, in regards to Chad and DC Drano, I know that Chad posted a post with the picture that was verbatim language that DC Drano used in his post. And they're told to use the same talking points. Guys, Chad Prather is not retarded. He realizes that if he writes the same thing as DC Drano, it's going to look crazy. He didn't mean to. He was trying to quote him, and he copied and pasted it in his notes. And when he loaded it, he didn't realize that it was written the wrong way.
We've all done it. We've all made mistakes like that.
And that's what I'm saying is so you really think that Chad Prather wouldn't realize, oh shit, this is going to be the exact same verbiage as this guy with millions of followers. No one's going to find out. Of course he wouldn't do something like that. I mean, he was dumb in the sense that he didn't realize when he had pressed send that it was the same damn thing and he hadn't changed it the way he wanted to, but it wasn't intentional. So let's just get over it and let's focus on this more. Eric, I want you to contribute here, but let me just say, let's focus on this more. Okay. What we said yesterday was that the Southern District of New York, the federal court in New York, it's one of 4 districts in New York. They are refusing to hand over thousands of pages that the DOJ and the FBI has requested. And so you think to yourself, instead of focusing on our friends here who have fought for President Trump to come in and get into office, let's focus on why the Southern District of New York, which has overseen very high-profile cases. Okay, they've overseen the September 11th terrorist attacks litigation. They've overseen the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, the Anthony Weiner laptop case, the Jeffrey Epstein, of course, sex trafficking case, the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, Eric Adams, P. Diddy. Okay, so they've overseen a lot of high-profile cases. Well, the assistant U.S. attorney for that particular district is Maureen Comey. I said Maureen Comey. Why does that name sound familiar? Because it's the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey. She was one of the 3 lead prosecutors on the case against Ghislaine Maxwell and also one of the lead prosecutors on the case against Jeffrey Epstein before, he killed himself or something. So why don't we instead look into, isn't it interesting that we're being stonewalled by the same place that you have James Comey's daughter in charge of all of these important investigations? Maybe we should focus on, preventing her from having any access to this shit So can we just let's just all band together again and look into that rather than arguing about content creators showing up at the White House and getting a chance to talk to people who you would jump at the opportunity to do the same thing. Eric?
Yeah, this has been, on my feed, top to bottom, it's been a very interesting one because the angle is you bring up that some of them are friends of the show, some we've done shows with in the past that were there. And the entire narrative is that these obviously are quote unquote grifters. They've been given a narrative. And to me, I'm like, okay, obviously the only one that I think I know that was out of that whole deal that I knew personally, probably had to been Chad, right? Outside of the others, I never had anything to say to them or anything. So I can't speak on them at all. But I guess their angle is, well, they were paraded around. They were given these narratives, and then they are angling, I guess, this whole conversation like they tried to gatekeep an exclusive, right, that they got, which turned out to be more of a nothing burger. So my whole thing about this is I'm just analyzing this objectively. Look, usually I'm the one at the round table that's pushing back on a lot of this just shield bullshit anyway, right? It's usually me anyway. So bet I'll be the last one to get invited to the White. But that's why I'm here, right? That's I feel like that's why I'm here. That shows that we're not just in some damn echo chamber right there. So it's to me, I'd say maybe the content creators and all those, the influencers or whatever you want to call them, if they feel like they were set up. Or on the other hand, I'm trying to look at all these other also influencers bitching at the other influencers about the position that they in, but they also shield for the same government. I'm like, somebody got lied to.
Yeah.
And I know that I know you don't want to go there, right? You're talking about the administration and shit. I will, because it sounds like you did get set up. It sounds like that's exactly what happened. It sounds like that you were out there to get to kind of roll out there, and then it turned out to be a nothing burger, and you took the fall for it. So you shouldn't. I know I'm looking at all these influencers fighting each other. I'm like, if I'm one of those guys, I'm turning to the people that how in the hell did you just set us up like that? You called us over here to be a part of whatever this was. It had nothing to do with the Epstein files. On our way out, you give us this binder that's supposed to have this exclusive stuff. You say on the front of the binder that it's the most transparent government that you ever had. I'm looking to the administration and all of them are like, what the, excuse my language, but what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? That's the question that I'm asking. And then I'm sitting there reading all these data, I'm like, who the hell is in charge? Because I'm seeing Bondi's well, I thought I told the FBI to have this shit on my desk by X amount of time. Is Cash not in charge of the FBI? Somebody's lying, Sarah, and I know that nobody wants to admit it because it's well, I got friends on both sides. Trump is supposed to be our guy, so-and-so. The optics look terrible top to bottom. But what you can't come out of this situation is saying that there is not a liar somewhere.
Somewhere. Who
is it?
So I'll give you this. Somewhere, a liar or someone who is too incompetent to be in this administration because they had to have seen how bad the optics of this
Fair enough.
right?
Fair enough.
But I certainly don't believe that it was the work of President Trump or J.D. Vance or Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or Caroline Leavitt themselves to go, you know what? We're going to invite these influencers here, and then we're going to coordinate that on the same day that we invite them here, we're going to drop these, this binder full of I don't think that this was a preconceived, ill-intentioned thing. I think that this was a giant up from top to bottom that someone, to your point, needs to take responsibility for.
Somebody has to. And again, if I'm one of them, I'm not putting. It's hard for me to put myself in their position because, like I say, I've never been that guy. I've been the guy for as long as I've been talking. It's been since 2014, 2015, I've been showing up here at the Blaze talking my shit, right? So for a while now, I've been the guy that's been giving the pushback for the most part, and then getting the shit because people are like, oh, that guy, he's anti-conservative, all this other stuff. So I'm just looking at it objectively. I'm like, if I'm y'all, I'm trying to figure out who is the person that set up this whole deal? Who sent out this stupid tweet with the Rick roll and all that? Whose bright idea was that? Because either they are bad apple, or to your point, Sarah, it's more than incompetence. I'm talking retardation. That's what we're at.
Yeah. Really quick.
What I think about this is that I know right now that the Trump administration is moving forward at light speed pace, right? Sure. They're moving, and people a lot of the time are fighting to catch up with it, right? They're like, "Brr." And so, like I said, day 38, we're at, I think it's 38 today. That's it. So what we've got is, we are so skeptical of all the lies that we've been taught in the past. We're so skeptical of nefarious players and all this. I'm just like, take a breath. As you said, people, the funny thing on the other side of it is people are so fast to be the ones to break the story that these guys are the bad guys, that they didn't just take a minute. Just don't just rush to be the guys that are out there having the hot take, right? Like, just give it a minute. I'm sure that something's going to come out. Now, it might be the incompetence. It might be no good deed goes unpunished. They're trying to move fast so quickly. They're like, hey, take this or whatever.
This is not quick.
Got a break.
We need to go to break. We'll be right back. Well, before we go, which again, every time I say I'm going to be gone this day and this day, be prepared. I'm not going to be here. I have people who are like, where are you? Why aren't you? I watch you every day. And I'm like, clearly you do not, because I told you that I was going to be gone. I'm going to be gone next week. We are on spring break and then I will be back. I know people like to accuse me of being lazy. I have like 5 jobs. Okay. So I'm not lazy. I just would like to give my kids a little bit of a vacation. All right. You can check me on social media. I'm sure I will not be absent there. So I don't know if you guys know this, but today is the Democrats' economic blackout day. Which I think you should be offended. You should be offended, Eric.
Blackout.
Why did they say blackout?
What was that? And on the last day of Black History Month.
Whoa! Racist.
I don't have my pearls on, man, but I am clutching them right now.
So they say no shopping for 24 hours. Halt any spending online or in store. Do not use credit or debit cards for 24 hours as a means to economic resistance. Send a message to large corporations and political entities about their reliance on public participation in the economy. So I'm just saying, if you guys have anything you'd like to buy today, now's the day.
If you want to go to Whole Foods or Sprouts, like, you're going to get there straight to the front of the line.
Which is where I don't go to Whole Foods because I'm too poor for that. But Sprouts, I think everyone's too poor for that, except Eric, because he just already made $1 million.
He made $1 million.
He already made $1 million, and it's only February. So Eric probably shops at Whole Foods, but the rest of us shop at Sprouts, okay? So now I know when we stock up on groceries today, front of the line, I don't even have to wait behind the lady with the blue hair, which is nice.
You can have as much kale as you want. It's all going to be there.
I'm still on carnivore.
I didn't even know. I didn't know that was a thing until this morning. Like, I saw someone posting about it.
I didn't either.
And it was like what was it? Maybe it was Steven, one of the retarded Stevens writers. And he was like, "Yeah, don't go buy my book on 28th." I'm like, that sounds stupid. Hey, on this day, you can go Rippaverse.com, buy everything, buy the whole damn thing. I don't care.
Yep, Rippaverse.com, AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. Make a statement by purchasing a lipstick, is all I'm saying, okay? And by the way, it's made in America stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. We'll see you guys not next week, the week after. See you then.